There we go. Good evening. Very packed agenda tonight. And I just want to run through, I don't usually do this because we have a full house. I just want to let people here who are physically here and also on Zoom just know what we're going, even though if you want a copy of the agenda, you can get one. We have a number of things going on tonight. Number one is our normal agenda, but we're going to start with promotions, appointments, etc., of members of our police force, which we're very excited about. Always looking forward to those moments. We have a public hearing, and then we'll go on to the rest of the regular agenda, which for those of you that want to stay, we also are getting a quarterly. I'm doing like a tap dance till you get here. No, we always like to have the whole team. Oh, got to talk to somebody about the parking. Okay, so we welcome everybody again. Plenty of seats on both sides if you want to be more comfortable. There's also going to be, about a year ago or so, the board asked the village manager and staff to do quarterly reviews of all of our projects. That's also tonight. So if some of you want to stay, that'll be great. And we have presentations from volunteer committees that we have. Very appropriate for April 20th is Volunteer Day in America. So it all sort of ties in very beautifully. Can I do first the pledge and get us kicking off the meeting? Great. Let's stand up for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Let's do a roll call, please.
Yep.
Trustee Fritchie.
Present.
Trustee White.
Present.
Trustee Casada.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lopez.
Present.
And Mayor Levin.
Present.
Okay, tonight we're going to start with the special presentation, the Austin Police Department promotions.
Okay, we're going to do one thing before that, which
Oh,
actually, no. You followed what I said, but I just realized if there are any announcements so the public can hear, because that's usually our format. Any announcements? Okay, here. I'll do that. So Saturday, if you haven't seen all the signs yet, we have the largest Earth Day festival with the help and coordination and production of the Green Ossining Committee, and that is this Saturday. It's from about 10 o'clock to 5. You could stay the whole day, stay part of the day, whatever you like. It's fantastic. It's educational. The village itself is being. What happened here? Okay. Oh, hey, Dan. The court is here, but also next door. So we really encourage everyone to join us. On Monday starts a Jewish holiday. That is one of the major holidays. For those of you that celebrate that or have family that celebrate it, we wish everybody a good Passover. It lasts about 8 days. And our meetings on Wednesday are still on for next week. It doesn't change. And we welcome the town supervisor, Elizabeth Feldman, also to the meeting tonight. The village does run the police department, but there's an IMA with the town. We support both the village and the town. So welcome her as well. Okay, the good stuff now.
Austin Police Department promotions.
Ready?
You're going to read them?
I will read them.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Police Lieutenant appointment Michael Lance. Resolved that the County of Westchester Department of Human Resources has certified to the Village of Ossining a list of eligible candidates for the contingent permanent appointment position of Police Lieutenant. And whereas Michael Lance is ranked on the aforesaid list of eligible candidates.
Stuart, if you could put the microphone just a little bit closer, people out here are having a hard time hearing you.
Me?
Yes, I know. Shocking, but yes.
Now, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining, pursuant to the applicable provisions of civil service law and the unconsolidated laws of New York State, hereby appoints Michael Lance to the position of Police Lieutenant in the Village of Ossining Police Department from eligible list 76-347, effective April 22, 2024, and an annual salary of $149,579. This appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12, no more than 52 weeks. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, Police Sergeant appointment to Joseph Schwartzman. Resolved, the County of Westchester Department of Human Resources has certified to the Village of Ossining a list of eligible candidates containing at least 3 names for the contingent permanent appointment position of Police Sergeant. And whereas Joseph Schwartzman is ranked on the aforesaid list of eligible candidates, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining, pursuant to the applicable provision of civil service law and the unconsolidated laws of New York State, hereby appoints Joseph Schwartzman to the position of Police Lieutenant in the Village of Ossining Police Department from eligible list number 71-706, effective April 22, 2024, at an annual salary of $134,756. This appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12, nor more than 52 weeks. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Police Sergeant appointment, Jason De Silva. Resolved that the County of Westchester Department of Human Resources has certified to the Village of Ossining a list of eligible candidates containing at least 3 names for the contingent permanent appointment position of Police Sergeant, and whereas Jason De Silva is ranked on the aforesaid list of eligible candidates, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining, pursuant to applicable provisions of civil service law and the unconsolidated laws of New York State, hereby appoints Jason De Silva to the position of Police Sergeant in the Village of Ossining Police Department from eligible list number 71-706, effective April 22, 2024, at an annual salary of $134,756. This appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12, nor more than 52 weeks. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chief?
Is here, I'd pay a lot of money for. This is great. Hello.
Hi.
You, what? Jen, Reef 11, how are you? Hi. So, always very exciting. You're the first one, so it's going to be nerve-wracking. Doesn't look like it, but I'm giving you a couple of minutes. Okay, good. So I'm going to read this to you. Hold it so we can both see. And do it together. Okay. Let me get this up. You're gonna hold it so we can both do it. So I could. Let's do it this way. You raise your hand. You raise your right hand. I,
I, Michael Lance,
being duly sworn, state on my honor,
being duly sworn, state on my honor,
I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America in the state of New York.
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York.
I will obey all the ordinances, rules, and regulations of the Village of Ossining
I will obey all the ordinances, rules, and regulations of the Village of Ossining
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Lieutenant in and for the said Village of Ossining, New York, to the best of my abilities.
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Lieutenant in and for the said Village of Ossining, New York, to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. They can, they'll stay. Hold on, let me see. No, Jen. Come back. I'm actually glad the family's here. We're going to have a few of these, so I don't want to be redundant. It's going to be a building block approach. So I'm really glad that you have your family here. You know, I've said this for the firefighters, a lot of our volunteers, but especially I think for the police force. Policing has really changed in the past couple of decades. It has become, I think, a very challenging profession, although a very honorable profession, now needed more than ever. And so we appreciate each and every police officer, and we also appreciate their family members who sacrifice evenings, days, vacations. It really requires a village to have a police officer in your family. Some of you are multi-generational, which is wonderful. Your children learn from you. Police officers are role models for the community. So I'm very grateful that your family is standing here with you. And I'm very grateful that you have been with us and been a police officer, and that, you know, you're rising in the ranks. And that is really a testament to you. And now the chief is going to say, I think, a few words.
Thank you. Well, congratulations, Mike, and welcome to the rank of lieutenant. And Mike's a 17-year veteran of the Ossining Police Department. He started with us 17 short years ago. Most recently, Mike has been a patrolman, patrol supervisor on the midnight shift. So if some of you guys don't recognize his face and lack of tan, that is why. Mike has been an instructor here for quite some time, heading up the EMS portion of instruction that goes on here, CPR, EMS, all the icky stuff that sometimes cops have to come in contact with. Mike's also a member of our SWAT team and is an EMT and plays a large role in training the guys in some TEM stuff. And he's been great, and we know we'll continue to do great things at his new job. So awesome.
So at the end, we're going to have the whole group, and take a few shots. And if you all want to take some shots as family members, meanwhile, we get our own village communication director taking pictures individually. Thank you, folks.
Mike's wife's birthday. Happy birthday.
Next one, Chief. Okay. And this is, why is this different? Standing on the lights? Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Joseph Schwartzman. That means I have to put my glasses on. Come on up. Okay. The rest of you coordinate the pin person right up front. No, that's your job.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it? I feel like a little tall. I gotta
Yeah.
hold it up here,
Where I
man.
get it from.
Okay, you'll speak loudly. Okay. I,
I, Joseph Schwartzman,
being duly sworn, state on my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. Thank you.
being duly sworn, state on my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York.
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York.
I will obey all ordinances, rules, and regulations of the Village of Ossining and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant in and for said Village of Ossining, New York, to the best of my ability.
I will obey all the ordinance, rules, and regulations of the Village of Ossining and will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Police Sergeant in and for the said Village of Ossining, New York, to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So watch the wire where you're stepping. Okay, so congratulations. Again, these are a lot of promotions. This is really great fun. The chief will talk more. As I said, it's going to be building blocks. So addition to what I said earlier, Ossining has also changed, not just policing, but our village has changed. We need new talent. We need, as well as experienced talent. The village has approximately 30,000 residents on pretty small piece of land. Town that is also supported has another 6,500 or so. So it's a lot of people for the police to enforce all sorts of regulations, to stay current, et cetera, et cetera. So people who are climbing the ranks and with each year continue to better themselves and are better for the community are very much appreciated. So congratulations and thank you.
Well, congratulations, Joe. And Joe is a 10-year veteran of the police. We took him from another agency about 8 years ago. Joe is an accomplished firearms instructor. He's a member of the SWAT team. He's a field training officer. Joe wears a lot of hats, and we know you're going to continue to wear that one well. So good luck.
Watch your step back. Jason De Silva. Watch your step there, like mini me's. Want to welcome you. Congratulations. Are you guys going to be police officers when you get older? She looks like she's ready to run the department. I'm just saying, she's got that look. Welcome. And I'm going to read this. You have to raise your right hand. There you go.
I, Jason De Silva,
Being duly sworn, state on my honor,
being duly sworn, state on my honor,
I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York.
Further, that I am a resident of the state of New York and I will
Okay.
support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York.
I will obey all the ordinances, rules, and regulations of the Village of Ossining and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police sergeant in and for the said Village of Ossining, New York, to the best of my ability.
I will obey the ordinances, rules, and regulations of the Village of Ossining and will faithfully discharge the duties of office of as police sergeant in and for the said Village of Ossining, New York, to the best of my ability.
See, wasn't so bad. I always like to see the little kids. My kids were born at Phelps, grew up here their whole life. Liz Feldman and I always talk about how great and what an honor it is to be in the roles that we are, both as mayor and superintendent and the trustees and the council people. We all live here. We're all your neighbors. It's a great honor. It is the same for many of our police officers. To support this village on a regular continuous basis, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I think is an honor. I hope that every police officer feels that. If they don't, we have an obligation to make them feel that way. It is truly one of the most honorable professions, and I'm very, very glad that you're part of our community.
Jason is a locally grown Austin police officer starting his career here, actually starting his career in the NYPD, but he grew up here and wanted to come back here, graduate of OHS. Jason is also, you know, an accomplished officer here. He's a member of our SWAT team. He's a field training officer, and Jay pretty much excels at everything he does. So there's no surprise that, you know, you're going to excel into your next step. Looking forward to it. I know everybody else is as well. So congratulations.
So that is, oh, they're not, nothing written, and they don't have to do so, just you.
Yep.
Okay, I'll let you talk then. Just an appointment by you, right?
Yep. Fix this. Well, we're not done yet. Sorry. So the promotion to lieutenant, the promotion to sergeant is a civil service promotion that comes off of an eligible list where you take a test and you score, and you know it's needs a resolution and all that. We also have an appointment to make tonight, which is that of detective. So that's an internal appointment from police officer to detective. And I'd like to recognize Officer Anthony Perillo is now Detective Anthony Perillo. So come on up. Being it's not a civil service promotion, there is no formal swearing in. So who's doing the honor of pinning? Retired Chief Burton. That's awesome. Anthony, again, another locally grown Ossining police officer, Ossining high school graduate. Anthony's been with us for 8 years now. And, you know, this is quite an accomplishment because he's being recognized for his work that he's done. And anything that we've ever asked Anthony to do as a patrolman, he's excelled at it. He has dug into the work and gone above and beyond in his duties as a patrolman, which really made him shine and recognize us to recognize his abilities as an investigator. And coming from, you know, personally, I've got an affinity for the detectives because I was one and I just left that unit. So knowing firsthand what you're capable of, and you're going to do great things. So congratulations. Oh, thank you. All right, one more, I promise. You know, recently when I took the position as the chief, I left supervising the investigative unit as a lieutenant in the detective division. And we needed to fill that position. And it was something that we didn't take lightly. And when we discussed it, we thought about it for a while. And Sergeant George Byrne, please come up. George is our most senior patrol sergeant. He actually just completed his 27th year of service after we stole him from the city. George is a hostage, he's a hostage negotiator. George is a hostage. He's a hostage negotiator. He is a trainer. He also works alongside Lieutenant Lance, training the EMT, CPR. He's on our bicycle unit. Oh, he was. And you're gonna have to leave that behind now, George. He's also on the Marine unit. I worked alongside George when I was an investigator, working on some major cases, and George was an asset to myself. He was an asset to the department and to the division. And now George is going to be supervising that division in his new role as the sergeant in charge of the detectives. So, George, we know you're going to do great things. Thank you.
So if we can have all those that were here before, just yourselves, we're going to take a group shot with the trustees and with, oops, let me get out of the picture. Got it? And Liz Feldman, if you can also join us, and the trustees and all of, no, you stay up here, the appointed and promoted, so we can take one group shot. And then the families can take some shots, and then we'll take a break and we'll continue.
In tighter, and tighter, and tighter. Sergeant De Silva? Okay. Liz, at least two officers. I watched this kid sign his name away tons of times this week. Yep. That was Ann Reamer. You will notarize it for you. Yep. Sergeant, congratulations. Sign it right there. If you could tell the lieutenant to come over here when you get a chance, I would appreciate it. How are you? Keep the faith. Oh, watch out, don't trip on the wire. We don't need any injuries. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't care. Okay. Lieutenant Lance? Lieutenant, could you tell the Lieutenant Lance to, I just need Lieutenant Lance. I just need, yeah. Yeah, everybody else sign. Until you sign. There you go. Don, hang back there, buddies. No, no, he's gonna take it. He'll notify. Thank you.
What's different? What's different? What's going on? Oh, yeah, totally different.
We'll talk later.
Jamie, is this still recording or did you stop it? Okay, all right. Folks, who am I missing? Bob Fritchie. Bob? Bob. So. Huddle in. Manny? Okay, we're gonna get started with the
Public
rest
hearing?
of the meeting, folks.
Put the thing back because we have the public hearing next. Yeah, get yourself back together.
Folks, if we could, for those of you not staying for the rest of the meeting,
We just have to set the podium back up again.
it's raining, so it's a little bit,
No, there's no running outside to have pictures taken.
what happened?
Let's just ask him who Dan is.
Folks, if you're staying, you're welcome. If not, if we could have you exit and we're going to close the front doors there.
He has no knees left. He's not a biker. Okay,
All right, folks,
thank you.
if I could ask everyone who's not staying to please exit. We can't, it's hard for us to record with the noise.
Here she goes. Here goes the. Stay somewhere, but you can't stay here. All right, good evening. Again,
Is this yours or mine? Did I leave? No. I think I left mine with the rest of this.
okay, tonight we have a public hearing
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
matter of proposed law 2024 entitled Local Law Amending Chapter 162 Housing, Property Maintenance and Building Code Administration for the Village of Austin Code. We'll just wait a moment. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on that issue? Okay. We're just going to see if anyone in the virtual world raises their little virtual hand.
It's okay, Jamie's up front. We'll wait
I'm gonna close
a
it.
little bit.
Okay, there's no one in the virtual world either that wishes to
Okay.
on it. So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second? Do I have a second?
Any comments? Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, now I'm going to move down to the special presentation of the Police Reform Advisory Committee presented by Chair Reverend Mary Pfeiffer.
Reverend Pfeiffer, welcome.
Thank you. Oh, okay, I can make it. I was just waiting for a signal.
No, this isn't Hollywood. You're on. He was just straining the mic and everything. That's all.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for letting me present our update. And I have a slide presentation. Okay, there it is. Thank you. I get it. Thank you. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. Oh, before we go to the next slide, I would like to congratulate all of the officers. That was so cool. So my first time seeing that in person.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So this evening, we're going to be discussing our scope of work, best practices of community policing, and then we'll look at community policing in Westchester and our committee goals, next steps, and recommendations. Next slide, please. So we're working to enhance community police relations through strong and collaborative relationships between the community and the police department through three major areas: community engagement, the review and analysis of current police policies and procedures, and the implementation and assessment of police reforms, the recommended police reforms. So this builds trust in the police reform process and improves transparency and accountability between the community and the police department. Next slide, please. President Barack Obama said, when any part of the
Hold on
American...
one second. I'm sorry to interrupt. We just want to make sure that,
Thank you.
oh, it's still loading? Oh, okay.
Okay. Sure. President Barack Obama said, when any part of the American family does not feel like it is being treated fairly, that's a problem for all of us. It means that we are not as strong a country as we can be. And when applied to the criminal justice system, it means we're not as effective in fighting crime as we could be. On December 18th, 2014, President Obama signed an executive order establishing the Task Force on 21st Century Policing. Acknowledging the very difficult work of policing and the importance of people feeling safe in their communities, President Obama charged the task force with identifying best practices and recommending how policing practices can promote effective crime reduction while building public trust. The ultimate goal is for all community members to treat each other with fairness, justice, and mutual respect while maintaining public safety. The task force recommends 6 pillars or areas for police reform: building trust and legitimacy, policy and oversight, technology and social media, community policing, and crime reduction, officer training and education, and officer safety and wellness. Next slide, please. Many of our local police departments have embraced the policies of the task force. The village of Ardsley, they publish monthly blotters, statistics, and press reports. The Peekskill PD solicit community solicit topics from their communities for conversation to better build the relationship between the community and Peekskill's police department. Yonkers PD, their police commissioner, community relations committee meets quarterly to develop new methods for improving police community relations. The Greenberg PD, their they call it PCAC, Police Community Advisory Commission. They serve 2-year staggered terms, and they undertake and organize educational outreach initiatives in conjunction and coordination with their chief. They also have an online survey on their homepage that asks, how did we do? The New Rochelle PD has 4-year terms, and they also hold regular meetings with their community leaders and interested residents to discuss their concerns on published data and published data. The White Plains PD, their commissioner of public safety, hosts quarterly meetings with their advisory board, in addition to posting their demographics of their department, comparing it to the city's demographics. Next slide. So our advisory board has 3 subcommittees: the community engagement, policies and procedure, and implementation. So looking at our committee's community engagement goals, In collaboration and conjunction with our police department, we would like to host 2 community police sector meetings per year and hold quarterly roundtable meetings with Chief Zimmerman and community leaders and the public, and the community leaders. Next slide, please. For our policy and procedure goals, our focus is the rules of conduct, accountability, and recruitment. And we would like to analyze and assess these issues, these policies, sorry. Next slide, please. We will also reassess items from the initial police reform plan, revisit previous recommendations, and revisit previous recommendations not implemented. Next slide, please. So we are looking forward to collaborating with Chief Zimmerman on our projects to meet the collaborative goal of public safety. Our one recommendation for the board at this time is to update the village website quick links to direct the community to the current Police Reform Advisory Committee page instead of the former Police Reform and Reinventive Collaborative. So we appreciate the investment that the board has made in our officers and in our community through the police reforms that are already addressed. And I believe it's our common belief that building trust has to be ongoing and sustained through built shared value. So as noted in the village response to Executive Order 203, we look forward to further police reform through ongoing honest dialogue and enhanced collaboration between our police department and our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, the committee is comprised of, there's a police officer.
Yes.
I see you. It's being recorded. I want the public to know it's not we, they, us, them.
No.
That in fact,
Not at
this
all.
is very much that the police is present. I noticed that you mentioned the chief a number of times, so appreciate it. And that it's made of folks living here in Ossining
Absolutely.
Village.
Yes.
And anybody that wants to join, it's on the website. If you want to apply, when there are openings, always happy to have folks. Should I start with your liaison with some comments or questions and then move on to the rest of the board?
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you, Chair. Really appreciate the leadership. This is an ongoing conversation. One of the things that I have most appreciated about the committee's work is that it's really been a conversation between members of the community and the police department about how we can improve. And that's different. That's not always the case everywhere, to have that kind of collaborative environment. That's in many ways due to our leadership, in many ways due to the committee members that show up every single month with energy and vigor, which include members of the community as well as our police department. So I would lift up the Police Reform Advisory Committee as an example in our county, in our state, and in our country as what can happen when community members and police dedicate to working together for improving the community for all. So no questions because I'm so closely related to the work, but if any of my colleagues have questions for you, certainly, or I'm happy to chime in later, I'm very much grateful.
Great. Thank you. And I'm just going to stay on this side. Trustee White, comments, questions?
I'd just like to say thank you for doing this important work. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you to the other members who are here.
Yes.
I think that, no one anticipated that we would have to do this, but I think that we did that you did it very, very well. And I think that our community is better for it. I think our police force is better for it. And I thank you again for your work.
I want to chime in. One person that is not either in the room or no longer on the website is, so we have certainly Reverend Pfeiffer here as the chair, is the second chair, the first person that was the chair was Jackie Shaw. And I want to recognize Jackie for her work in the first 2 years of the Police Reform Advisory Committee, leading the group to the point where it is now, and you've really taken it to new heights. So thank you to Jackie as well.
Thank you.
Folks on this side, trustees, anything?
Yeah, just thank you for being on the committee. You guys are doing a great job. The deputy mayor pretty much covered everything. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate the hard work. I know how hard you guys work, and not just one meeting a month, sure. Different conversations through the weeks. I'm pretty sure. So I do have not really a question in a way. It will kind of develop in a different conversation, and I'm
Yes.
sure you have done a lot of research in here. So I'll be curious to if you can summarize in a quick way. Because you mentioned different municipalities throughout Westchester.
Yes.
A lot of them are cities. One of the small ones is Arsley.
Yes.
Total different demographics, total
Yes.
different, I'm sure, issues
Yes.
on their own community. But
Mhm.
something that all these communities have in common, including ourselves, what could that be?
I think they have in common the idea that it takes a village, and they've really embraced community policing, that we know that policing is difficult, and we all want to make sure that we consider everyone in the conversation. And the places that I named, some of them even have changed some of their mission statements to include the idea or the philosophy behind the collaboration between the community and the police.
Thank you. I
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
Sure.
I'll look forward to a little bit more of that information. Maybe we'll have enough conversation. Maybe I'll stop by one of the meetings when you guys have that.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I already said a few things, but my thought as I was looking through the presentation is sort of the next steps.
Mhm.
What the board can do to help, which we ask every committee. You have a liaison like the other committees, members, board appoints, a lot of similarities. We do ask every committee if there's something now, whether it's a budget or whatever, that is, even if it wasn't budgeted, that we might consider, because the months pass very quickly by the time we do the budget. So that's one.
Right.
The second piece is I'm super excited about the committee, because we tend to always look, even when it's data is always the past, right? Scenarios are the present.
Yeah.
Something happens in a community. It doesn't have to be about policing. It could be anything.
Right.
Something just happens. I don't know, potholes, right? Who knows what it is? And everybody sort of jumps like popcorn that pops. It pops and everybody runs. Then there's another, and then everybody runs that direction. So what I liked so much about the presentation is the thought, as you were going through it, that our police department is actually in and of itself has changed.
Yes.
A month or two ago, was it 6 or 8 new people that we brought on? I don't
8, I
remember
think.
the exact number.
It was
8?
8.
So we have 55 with all the stuff. Maybe you get 50, that are out there, so 8 new people is huge.
Yes.
And as you saw today, you were sitting here enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
Promotions
Yeah.
for some folks, some of whom grew up here, some of whom come from the city or from other communities. So for me, we're really at an intersection of a lot of newness and people that have grown up here, and the new chief of police, it's just a lot of newness going on,
Right.
not better or worse, just a time of inflection in the police department and in the communities I stated earlier in the evening. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to see how some of the best practices might help as next
Yes.
steps, what some of the projects are, and what group needs in order to make some things happen. I just feel it's a bit of a new dawn. That happens every once in a while in a police department in every community. And it's happening right now for us. So I'm excited to have this committee in place
Thank
and
you.
rolling already. So it's not a new committee. It's already on its way.
Yes.
I don't have any specific questions. I'm just excited to see what we've got happening going forward.
Likewise.
So thank you. And I don't know if you have questions or anything since we've been speaking for clarification. It's a
Not at this
conversation, so
time.
it's okay.
Oh, okay.
You can always call any one of us, as you know.
I
So
just
thank
like
you.
to shout out my
Oh,
folks here. Sergeant McGovern, Jim Burnett, Jermaine Smith, and Reverend Sean Jones, and some folks were going to be online. Jennifer Cabrera. And of course, our Deputy Mayor, Omar Lopez, and our own corporation council's steward. And I don't remember your last name. I'm sorry. Kahan. Okay. Thank you all so much. As long as I love it. Thank you
Right.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's the only committee tonight, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to move on to administrative reports. Village Manager Karen Tatori.
Thank you, Stuart. Good evening, everyone. As the mayor had mentioned earlier, it is time for our first quarter project update report. And for this report, we really are going to be focusing on the projects. Dale our treasurer, is working on a financial update. But right now we're still waiting for the 2024 number. So once we have those, we'll give a more full report on that. Tonight, we are focusing on the many projects that we have going on in the village of Ossining right now. So go to first slide. There's a big delay. So I'll get started talking and we'll wait. But the village of Ossining has been planning for many years, considering several different projects. I just want to, I know you want this recorded so I want to wait till, can I restart? Okay, but if you want it, can we just start again? Because the mayor wants this as a standalone, so. We want to use this to be able to edit this down and use this as a standalone. So we'd like it to go a little bit more smoothly. So take two. So tonight we're giving a first quarter review on the many projects that we have going on in Ossining. Next slide, please. Okay, great. We have been for many decades, over 20 years, the village has been considering various projects, all somewhat interrelated, but considering them at different times and various reasons we haven't been able to move forward. But most of them have to do with downtown and waterfront revitalization. And many of these projects are designed to address the negative consequences of urban renewal. While each of these projects by itself has the potential to greatly improve a life in Ossining for residents and businesses alike, the collective impact of these projects is truly transformational and has the potential to reestablish Ossining as a vital and vibrant downtown waterfront community that is transit-oriented, walkable, increasingly walkable, and soon to be increasingly bikeable, while also providing the best of Hudson Rivertown village life within an hour's train ride to New York City. So a lot of assets here that we can capitalize on and advance already with these, but with these projects, move them even further along. Next slide, please. We have 19 major projects in the works at various stages. 3 have been completed since I started giving these presentations last year. We have 11 underway and 5 soon to be underway, but we'll really get going in 2025. Next slide, please. So the first project that we've completed is our firehouse consolidation study. And this really is the first step of what will likely be several phases of improvements we're making for our fire department. Ossining does boast the largest volunteer fire department in all of New York State, with 9 companies and 7 firehouses. The reality is, though, that many of our firehouses are old and they really can't accommodate the state-of-the-art resources and modernized equipment needs necessary for today's first responders. A study was done in 2023, and this study advanced studies done previously, but really identified issues that we need to improve in our current houses and also gave strategies for consolidation. So ultimately through maybe the sale of some of the houses, we can use funds to establish a new and improved facility on a yet to be determined site to make sure that we're giving our first responders the best resources possible. This project was done in 2023. The total cost was $61,250, and we had grant funding of $18,750. But we have more OFD funding pending. So more fire department dollars right now are being applied for in the form of a CREST grant through Pete Harcum's office, Senator Pete Harcum, which will cover protective gear, washer and dryer, which does help make sure that we're not allowing contamination to affect our first responders. And we also are just applying for Department of Homeland application for $500,000 for new turnout gear, which would allow us to have a change of gear so nobody's putting contaminated gear into their personal car or anything. So first step. And then hopefully over the next several years, we'll be able to use the study as a guideline to improve houses as best we can at this point, and then also ultimately build a new firehouse. So next slide, please. We also redesigned the Five Corners right in the middle of Main Street, our downtown area. The Five Corners for Spring Street, Main Street, Brander Street, and Central Avenue were upgraded to improve greatly safety for vehicles as well as pedestrians. And the improvements include ADA streetscaping, an expanded sidewalk space, new signaling, and very lovely perennial pollinators that will be blooming shortly. The total project cost was $1,090,000. We did have grant funding through that was facilitated through former Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff's office of $850,000. And we also had state aid through CHIPS funding of $240,000 to complete that project. Next, please. The next project is a phase project through the Community Development Block Grant Program, which is a federally funded program that's implemented through the county. And we've been working on streetscaping. The goal of this project and all our streetscaping efforts are to really ensure that we are improving walkability on our most walked streets, and improving access to public transportation, services, schools, parks, and retail establishments, where we know that people are walking as much as they are driving, and hopefully in the future being able to walk more easily as well as bike more easily. And the project, the first project we worked on was that was completed this year was James Street, and we did all of James Street from Route 9 all the way down to State Street. That is now complete. The total project cost was actually it was a little less than $800,000 because we redid the scope. It was actually closer to $600,000 with grant funding of $400,000. And the next project slated for 2024 is Spring Street from Broad Avenue down to Lafayette Street. And we anticipate that's going to cost $549,000 with grant funding of about $200,000. We are also meeting with the county and getting applications ready that will be due this year for the next round of CDBG Community Development Block. If you can say that 3 times fast, you're better than I am, but CDBG funding. And those applications, again, will be due shortly, and we are waiting guidance from the county on the exact requirements, funding guidelines, as well as the actual due date. So next slide, please. The community center is the heart of our community. It's incredibly well utilized. About 300 people a day utilize the center, and it is badly in need of improvements, of facelift. And we are very fortunate that we have just opened the pool, which received $500 in grant support, again, provided from our former Assemblywoman, Sandy Galiff. The pool is now open and people are using it. the locker rooms, and including a new family locker room will be open soon, hopefully by June 1st. And we're looking to make that sooner if we can. We also received $2.5 million in Downtown Revitalization Initiative money for the transformation of the community center. And we issued an RFP for architectural design services. We had 27 respondents show up on Monday for a site visit. It was one of the biggest site visits I think we've ever had, the most applicants, record breaking. So we are very hopeful that we will get by May 1st, a wealth of different opportunities that we can consider to go forward with design services. So as I mentioned, we should be totally complete with the pool by June. That project cost $1,596,771 and grant funding of $500,000. Project timing for the community redesign, the rest of the center we started this essentially in 2023 with the pool. We anticipate we can be done by 2026. The total estimated cost is around $5 million, and that's estimated cost. And we have total grant funding of $2,500,000 for that project. Next slide, please. One of the biggest impediments to doing the revitalization projects that were most needed to reverse the negative impacts of urban renewal was the fact that we'd have to displace parking on surface parking lots that once were vibrant and had mixed-use buildings there. Main Street was bustling, and as we all know, after urban renewal, Main Street's died down. Our Main Street is coming back in a really robust way, and we want to continue to help catalyze more growth and support that. But where to park has always been the biggest problem. So the linchpin project of all of our revitalization projects is actually a parking structure. In this case, multimodal transportation hub. So beyond just a parking structure, this will be a place where you can get your e-bike. It will be designed to fit in nicely adjacent to the Old Croton Aqueduct in the Brandreth parking lot. And we also met with several different respondents for that to design that site. A couple of months ago, we ended up retaining THA Consulting, and we are now looking to engage the public very closely on working with us to make this project a reality. Our first meeting with public will really be specific to business owners and building owners who are going to be immediately affected, and that's going to be on Monday, April 29th. Following in May, we'll have a larger community-wide engagement for everyone to join in, and we'll get their feedback and opinions. We have the placemaking committee working on this. We really want this to be a site that not just parks cars, but really looks to the future and provides an asset along the aqueduct to highlight that feature as well. We are still, again, we think that the bulk of this will be constructed in 2025. We should be wrapped up by 2026. Total cost is still to be determined, but it's roughly about a $12 million job. We have $1 million of funding from Empire State Development Corp. and $2.43 million from Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Next slide, please. Another key urban renewal reversal project is the narrowing of Route 9. During urban renewal, Route 9 was widened from 2 lanes, 1 in each direction, to 4 lanes, with the anticipation that this would happen throughout the lower Hudson Valley along the river towns. And it really didn't happen that way. What it did, though, is it bifurcated Ossining in a way that it divided our business districts of Croton Avenue and Main Street. It made walkability very difficult. And it also created some really dangerous safety issues. So we are looking to reverse that. We did get nearly $400 million through a congressional funding. I'm sorry, $4 million. $4 million, apologies there, through a congressional funding, congressionally directed funding, which was later given to the DOT, and we're working with them to use that money. This project is moving forward. It's on the Transportation Improvement Program for the DOT. We are in the design phase right now, and we are looking forward to this reuniting our community again, further reversing the negative impacts of urban renewal. Project Mover is just one of the benefits of that we got. It's really a public-private partnership, but it's designed to bring consultants in transportation as well as micromobility, their talents together. It's funded by NYSERDA with a $7 million grant that will pay for consulting services and infrastructure. But we're chosen as the first pilot community in Westchester County for this project, which will launch in this summer with about 50 bikes in a bike share program. The second phase will also happen this year, and that's a lease to own project, which will provide affordable ownership of e-bikes. And a bike library will follow that, which will provide for longer term rentals. So instead of just for a couple of hours, you can rent a bike for a week or a couple of weeks. We're really excited to be working on that. We're working with other communities who, once seen what great work we do, will hopefully follow through with continuing this project throughout the region, Tarrytown, Dobbs Ferry, Croton, and the town, of course. And our community partners are going to be helping us get the word out and educating people and making e-bikes more accessible to all people. We're working with Open Door Family Medical Centers, Neighbors Link, Hudson Link, and IFCA Housing Network. Solarization, decarbonization, sustainability, all big buzzwords, especially now as we approach Earth Day. We have completed, and I probably should have put this in the completed project, but in 2023, we had installed a solar array on the central garage over at our Public Works offices. And this year, this summer, we've been looking to install a solar canopy on the east side of the train tracks. And we're hoping that starts this summer. These installations are going to provide low-income households with reduced energy costs while producing lease revenue to offset the property tax levy. So the cost to us is nothing, but we will be looking at generating lease revenue of nearly $10,000 a year for at least 25 years or more. And we have more solarization projects on the horizon. We have a pending CREST grant through Senator Harkin's office to cover the cost of roof improvements on Ossining Police Department headquarters. So that's a $100,000 grant. And at the community center, we have a $150,000 CREST grant from Assemblywoman Levenberg. So the DRI projects have helped get us to other public-private partnerships, such as NYSERDA and the Project Mover partnership, which brought more investment into Ossining. Our first public-private partnership, though, Station Plaza Development at 30 Water Street, helped us in scoring points to get the Downtown Revitalization Initiative money. This project is taking a currently used organic waste yard and turning it into 109 affordable units of housing with retail space and community space, completion of the Sing Sing Hill walkway into a park right down by Water Street. A lot of assets there. And once complete, this is going to really catalyze more development down in that area that will be working closely with neighborhood residents and businesses based on their input. And other work we're doing with waterfront revitalization to make sure that all of Ossining is benefiting from this investment as much as possible. We will have the Wilder Walter team here later this evening, so I'm sure they'll be giving more detail, but we do expect to see work starting soon in 2024. Next slide. The biggest and most planned for and highest investment project that we're doing is the Indian Walk Brook Water Treatment Plant, which we've been planning for several years now. Actually, it says 6 here, but it's really closer to almost 8 at this time. It's an incredibly important project that nobody really sees, or we talk about it a lot, but the reservoir is located in the town of Ossining. So is the water treatment plant. It's sort of hidden away there up in Crotonville. It is nearly 40 years old, the current plant, at the end of its useful life. And we need a new plant. We need one because our current plant doesn't operate at full during the times when we need the greatest capacity. It's not operating quite as well as it could be. We also need to make sure that we can meet the ever-changing and increasing requirements for decontamination from algae blooms due to climate change, as well as updated requirements for lead and copper removal from drinking water. The project timing for that, we will we're mobilizing as we speak. Really, that's starting within the next couple of weeks. We will be getting a date for a groundbreaking very soon and providing that information to the board and the public. This is an almost $100 million project. We have gotten $5,160,000 in grant funding for this project. We now have $15,000 in grant funding pending. So everybody keep your fingers crossed. 15. I'm sorry, did I say 50?
No, you said 15,000.
15 million. So I'm sorry. This is a really important project for obvious reasons. We need clean drinking water. It's essential. It's something all of the staff has worked really, really, really hard on, and we're continuing to apply for every dollar of grant funding we can possibly get to offset the cost on the water ratepayers. But I do want to acknowledge Ossining's leadership in the town and village, who've worked hard over the past several years to make sure that we've been investing in a reserve in our water fund to offset any negative impacts to ratepayers who would otherwise be experiencing really high increases on their water bill. So another testament to long-term planning here, but also the community leadership that we've had guiding these projects through the years responsibly. A Climate Action Plan is a countywide collaborative initiative, and it's designed to make sure that various partners, municipalities throughout the county have been working to capture their greenhouse gas usage to create a baseline. With that baseline, develop plans so that they can reduce that usage over time. We were happy to be one of the communities involved in this project. It's taken a lot of staff hours. It's very detailed, but once we have this data set, we'll be able to use it more effectively going forward, especially as we're incorporating decarbonization and solarization projects that really will have an impact on our greenhouse gas usage. Next, we do have another community development block grant program project, Nelson Sitting Park Playground Replacement. Nelson Sitting Park, we're planning for a playground replacement that will provide equipment for children with mobility constraints and sensory issues, allowing children of all abilities and developmental stages to play in the same space and enjoy the park. The playground equipment there is needed to be upgraded anyway, and we're going to enhance it and make it better and more from a utility function, more available and accessible to more children in our community. There'll be benches for parents to relax, and it will be quite lovely and coincide with streetscaping that will happen alongside it in 2024. This project is slated for the summer, and the total cost is $188,750, and we have grant funding of $94,000. We also have more grant funding coming for parks, and we have a CREST funding grant of $100,000, again, from Senator Harkin's office. Thank you, Senator Harkin, for a new playground equipment in Sparta Park. The Ossining waterfront is something we've been working hard on preserving in partnership with the town of Ossining. And a few years ago, we did a climate adaptive design studio with Cornell University. As an extension of that, we applied for and got a $50,000 Hudson River Estuary grant, which allow us to capitalize on some of those plans, bring them into more detail. We are working on so that we can really execute a design that would make the waterfront more resilient, but also increase public access to the waterfront. We're going to go to an RFP for engineering design consulting services for that project this year. So that's something we'll probably wrap up before the end of the year. And we also were awarded a local waterfront revitalization program grant of $106,000. We will be using this funding probably in 2025 based on timing, staff capacity, and other things that we're doing down in the waterfront area. But these are really important projects that, and another testament to community engagement and Osning's leadership over the years in making sure that we've planned for a waterfront that is accessible, that is sustainable, that takes into account the different needs we have recreationally, as well as the needs we have for green space and performance space. So we're excited about being able to do this and glad that we're able to continuously get additional monies to continue the work we started with the CAD study. Station Plaza, right across the train station from the waterfront. One of the DRI projects, we've received $857,000 for streetscaping in that area. So as we do the 30 Water Street development, we'll be able to extend the sidewalk work and street work that's done on that property, which is right down the block, into the Station Plaza area at the intersection of Water Street and Main Street to really enhance that area. Again, promote more walkability, bikeability, more outdoor space for restaurants and shops, and just experiencing all the benefits of our waterfront and downtown. Now that we have parking addressed we have the issue of displacement of parking addressed, we can start to focus on the revitalization of the Main Street surface parking areas. And we did engage Wilder Balter and St. Catherine groups. They were selected as preferred developers for the Main Street lot, also known as the post office parking lot. They'll be working on a mixed use property there that will have plenty of retail space as well as residential space, very much in keeping with the historic character of the buildings that are already there, and also contributing to the reversal of the negative impacts of urban renewal. We will be starting our community engagement around that project, again, to get more input from the community on aspects of that project that we'd like to see come to fruition. That will be happening this summer. And once we get the multimodal site done, we'll be able to hopefully have this through the planning process, and it'll be through the planning process, and we'll be able to break ground on this project, and people will have somewhere to park. Another component, while this is not a village municipal project, this is a DRI project. And the Fan families who are owners of the Olive Opera House on the corner of Brandreth and Central Avenue have long held a vision of making this a spot for the arts, performance space for community events. And that is now becoming a reality through DRI funding. They received $1.5 million to do those renovations, to facilitate a wide range of opportunities within the building, including providing a home for the Sing Sing Prison Museum Preview Center. So they are working on that now, and they are looking to start work between now and 2025. That's the last update I received from the Olive Opera House people. So next slide. The town of Ossining received funding, $600,000 for a performance space, a new stage at Lewis Engle Park. And that is also something that the town is working on right now. They are hoping to have that ready by Earth Day 2025. Another great enhancement to our waterfront. The development of Market Square surface parking lots. There was one caveat we got loud and clear from the public. Keep Market Square. We love a public gathering space. We now have $2 million to make sure that we can do that. That project will happen in sequence once we have our parking done, and we've got construction underway for the mixed-use project in the post office lots. We will begin working on a park, open space, beautifully redesigned with a lot of landscape architecture to really enhance what's there now and make it a really vibrant gathering space that no longer necessarily has to cross over potholes or anything else or parking spaces, but something that can be used pretty much year round as a gathering space, open air space. And likely we'll really start getting to work on that between 2025 and 2027. So all of these things that we're doing really come together beautifully to create a more vibrant, a more robust, a more beautiful, a more enjoyable downtown, but Ossining as a whole as well. And it's the funding that gave us the impetus to move forward on this. We've gotten almost $15 million in funding to go forward with these projects, including an additional $900,000 in grant application dollars that are pending. And that's being applied to the general fund. For the water fund, for the construction of the Indian Brook the Indian Brook water treatment plant, we have $5,160,000 already applied to the water fund, and we are hoping to secure an additional $15 million to go, and possibly more, to that project. While DRI funding is working to get us where we need to be, the most important part has been, well, let me refrain. I got a little ahead of myself. Public-private partnerships are an advantage of the work that we're doing. So all of the investment that we are making, that the state is making, is now being amplified by investments from the private sector. So as I mentioned before, when we competed for the Project Mover project funding, having won the DRI was a points in our favor. They knew Ossining was on the move. When we applied for the DRI, having a public-private partnership that existed with Wilder Balter was an advantage. That made sure that people who were judging on the DRI project understood that Ossining was a sound investment, that we were already had skin in the game and we were moving on our own regardless of additional funding. Wilder Balters and other developers who applied for Main Street, the Main Street development, that again, an important public-private partnership that'll enhance Main Street greatly. But we're also starting to now get more interest in other properties that are for sale in that immediate area, and we hope that they are developed as well. And the Pham family certainly is creating something that will be revitalize the historic Olive Opera House and also create a one-of-a-kind destination experience here in Ossining. If it weren't for our leadership commitment and the level of community engagement, none of these things would be as viable as they are right now. The funding made them feasible. The vision and the commitment to that vision and the engagement around that vision has made the vision a reality, or soon to be a reality. In totality, these projects will not only revitalize Ossining's downtown, they will do so in a way that is equitable and inclusive. They'll preserve our village charm while bringing state-of-the-art innovation to support housing needs, environmental sustainability, and local business development. And they're also going to provide something else, like really placemaking at its best, because Ossining now can be a model for suburban living that will not only support local businesses and development on Main Street throughout Ossining, but it'll create a highly desirable small town atmosphere very close to New York City that really will be attractive for people who are working in this area in Westchester's growing technology and healthcare industries, people who are working at home for looking for something for that right balance, that right quality of life, a little bit of city life when you need it, and a lot of respite when you're here at home. So we're really happy to be able to bring these things to fruition. And that concludes our first quarter project update. We will continue updating you on the status of these projects as we move forward with the timing and the coordination, and work well with the community to make sure that we mitigate any negative impacts during construction and that we optimize all of the opportunities we have as we finalize those construction plans.
Thank you. A lot. It's a lot. So I wanted to thank you for the update, and I just want to make a couple of macro comments and then open it to the board for questions, etc. So one of the things that is a little different in the past 2 to 3 years than the 10 years before that and the 10 years before that, et cetera, is the focus on grants. There are community leaders that don't like higher government grants. First of all, they're highly competitive. It takes a lot of work to get even one. A lot of staff time, a lot of legal work, a lot of engagement, etc. And some communities aren't that interested. And frankly, it's a lot of cities get the first big chunks, and the villages are left with sort of small amounts. They also require villages and towns to, they're not checks, they're not gift cards that we use the way we want. They come with a lot of strings attached. You have to be okay with those strings, and you have to be okay with meeting the requirements of the higher level government when the money is distributed. So if you need something for 800,000, you might get 500,000, but then you've got to come up with the rest. And that's just an example. But there's also a lot of requirements, et cetera, and a lot of engagement. And we've chosen the past few years to go all in on getting grants. For me, personally, I think it makes a lot of sense, because if you don't use grants, you have to use tax dollars. And this is a combination of private, public, and tax dollars from federal level, state level, and county. Again, it takes more work, and one grant leads to another. Because what starts happening, as we see from the DRI, you go for one and you start looking at your village in a 360-degree level. You start saying things like, we need the multimodal for everything the village manager said, plus for the opera house to be able to really put on performances that bring in 100 people on a you have to have parking. For the restaurants to have customers, you have to have parking. If you want to build the other half of Main Street, which now sits with empty parking lots, you need to have parking in addition to the parking the developers are putting in. And it shows investment in the future. I know that a lot of what we talk about is bringing back things, but the reality is that all of these is really a 360-degree. You literally can walk around the village in a full circle and see the effect of different pieces of it while maintaining a village look, not becoming a city. Got nothing against cities, but we have one of the biggest cities in the world within 45 minutes of here. And then we've got a couple of huge cities within 20 minutes of here. So there's plenty of housing and all of that in cities, but to remain a village where people know each other and where there's access to the waterfront, in a small area, I think these are the kind of projects that are very exciting. So I wanted to explain why there's so much conversation about grants that we haven't had as much in the past. Maybe we had a project here and a project there, but this is a lot of projects. Even for a city, this would be a lot of projects and takes a lot of work. So that's super great. The other thing that I like about the presentation is you can have lots of discussions with the community about what's more important. You know, we need to fix this, we need to fix that. If you have so much money, why aren't you working on this instead of that? But I think a tremendous effort has been put into this by staff, by elected officials, even before us, other elected officials, and I'm sure it will be in future elected officials, to really look at different segments of our community currently and going into the future. And also our staff, like the police departments and the water plant. I mean, those all serve the community, but they also need to be supported. So I think this is great. I'm always overwhelmed, to be honest, even though I know all the stuff that's going on. So does the entire board. Every time I see it, I start going, whoa, this is a lot of stuff to be done. But so I appreciate all the work going into that. And I'm sure there's some questions that folks want to ask. My only question, if I may, is the parks. When we're done with those two parks, is every park in the village of Ossining, what's the wording? For everyone, like it's not special needs, but there's a word. It's not just ADA. There's, what did you say? There's a wording for that.
Adaptive,
Yeah, ADA
not
is a
every
different
park,
thing. Not every park?
not every park. That is something that we are aspiring to.
Okay, so about 80% of the parks? Not yet?
I-
Okay,
I probably like, it's really the larger parks. So
Okay.
Veterans Park, Nelson Sitting Park. And then in some parks where there's just less equipment, we're improving them. We may not have the opportunity to invest as much into some of the sensory stuff, but we are looking to incorporate things that all children can take advantage of, all families can. And not only in our parks though, but I think it's important to recognize our programming increasingly addresses children with special needs and provides different experiences for a range of children and their abilities.
great. That was my actually question. So I started on this side before. I'm going to go to this side for questions, comments, etc.
Well, thank you. It was a lot to take in. We forget how many things we're really doing when you start seeing it on in front of you. So any of my questions, I will email. Thank you.
We'll be waiting.
Thank you. Guess I just have maybe one or two questions, and I have a comment on the presentation itself, which is always interesting to see. So probably Jamie or Karen or Maddie, whoever wants to answer. So the presentation that was just done to us, a little bit different than the presentation link on our website. Because the projects is like 28 projects we presented.
I know
19, so
I made changes and we just didn't, we'll change it on
I
the
understand
website.
that. So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that whatever Mayor said, we want to use this. I'm not sure what format, but if we are linking this presentation to that presentation, want to make sure that they're
Yeah.
seeing what being
Right.
presented.
That was just an earlier version, so.
And also as part of that, I thought it was very helpful, but I didn't see that in this presentation. The one that you emailed to us, it had a list of the amount of projects, like this grant, how much you're gonna cost. But I was hoping to see that this presentation, not part of that presentation.
We put it there, I thought it would be there like, as almost like an appendix. We certainly can put it up if the board would like to, and we'll certainly keep it in the attachment. It just in the interest of time, and I did go over most of those numbers, but if you'd like to see it encapsulated in one place, we can certainly, Jamie, if you want to put the first of the last two slides on.
Because for me is obviously, if you want to do the math, you can definitely do the math, sure. But if you already did the math, that is
Yeah,
at
no,
the end,
that's-
I think will be helpful for the community to see how much grants have obtained.
It's the summation.
So it's just a summation of
Yeah.
all the
Sure.
projects. But I thought, for me, when I saw the presentation, you emailed it to us early today, it was very helpful.
All right, so
that's sort
I think your suggestion is maybe they could put it back in, maybe at the end or an
it
addendum.
was at the
We have
end. Yeah,
some
it was at the
thoughts.
end,
Just
so I thought
to
was very
do it
helpful.
as
Yeah.
encapsulate
Right.
everything financially. So if anybody's interested, yeah.
So it's,
Okay, that's
hopefully
fine.
at home, people can see it a little bit better. I think what's important to note on this, and we broke it out, because some of the grants are being applied to the general fund, and anything for the water treatment plant is being applied to the water fund. So it's the two separate funds. One's paid by the ratepayers, one's paid through taxes. We're really looking at grant funding. If you look at the totality of our grant funding for the general fund, we have grant funding is 50% of the total cost, the estimated total cost. Everything obviously is subject to change. That's actually like a good percentage. And part of our strategy with grants is not to keep going for more different projects, but try to get as much money as we can, particularly for those higher ticket projects. So we're really, winnowing away what's coming out of the general fund or what we'd have to bond for.
Thank you. And I think a lot of people, would be helpful for them to understand that at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money, no matter which fund that we break it. Pay water, we all pay tax. So the other question that I have is not really related. I think that staff did a fantastic job, but there was something over the couple of weeks back also, that my neighbors people in the area of James asked me, maybe you can help me clarify this. Talked about, because they saw this, they saw the signs when they were doing the repaving, the sidewalks, and what happened the rest of the lower part of what happened to us?
Talking about Breakneck Hill area or
Well, that part where the circle comes, or because you have
from
yeah,
State Street between.
Right.
So that was originally when we this is going back a while back because the lead time for these CDBG these grants are really long. And we had talked, I mean, before I was village manager at IFCA, we had worked with the village to petition the county to provide funding for that. At that time, to be honest, it was in the site plan for the developer, and that sort of worked against us. Now it's not. And actually, we talked to, well, now
I'm not talking
that
about
had him.
the hill. I'm talking about the pretty much like the roundabout between complex itself.
So I think
So
that
from that portion and no sidewalks were done. The
right.
street was
So what we're in recognition of that, because we thought there would be additional work done there, what we are going to do, and I have to double check because I'm not sure with that whole roundabout what's if any of that is actually on private property, but we'll double check that. But what we are going to, one of the projects that we want to put forth for the next round of CDBG funding is that area and make sure that we finish it. Because I think it only,
well.
you know.
I think we should look into that soon rather than later, and if because we do put aside money added to this fund every year for the budget, or anything like that. My recommendation, my ask to the boards, because again, community residents in that area, they always feel neglected, and especially because of that site that has been empty for years and worse every week. You know, they feel like, why us?
Right.
So I want to make sure that the board is aware of that, conscious of what what the community feels sometimes when they see a lot of big projects and exciting projects, but yet some sections of our community just feel neglected because of that.
Completely understood.
And I think but that was just a measure. The other one is relevant. I'll talk to the mayor about that one. But I'm waiting for the water treatment plant. I'm excited for that. It's a project that is actually a long time coming. So I'm excited about that. And I think a lot of the projects are way coming. So I'm waiting for C430 Water Street as well to was the update. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go this way. Sir?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Madam Manager. So I'm going to start from the most tiny, superficial, and then get to the most substantive. Building off of a comment that my colleague Trustee Quesada said, and a comment that the mayor said that all this money is taxpayer money. Specifically, we talk about, well, we have our local taxes, but then that's supplemented by grant money, like state grant money. The state gets money from us, which is also grant money, right? It's also taxpayer money. So it's all our money. So I see this as a way for us to be getting what's our due. That's our money anyway, right? So we're just getting our due to pay for these initiatives.
If we don't apply for it, it will go somewhere else.
It will go somewhere else.
Right.
So good on you.
To all the taxpayers.
Amen. Two is what will be helpful as you're posting the updated version that Trustee Quesada asked for is there's the kind of completed projects underway next in line. If you can have like a chapter slide, essentially just like a blank slide that says completed and then the completed.
Yep.
Next in line, because it just makes it easier to scan. Right now, all the projects are in a row and you have to kind of keep going back to the beginning to where does one end and the other begin. So it just makes it easier to scan. Thank you. Three is now we're getting into wish list territory. So, take this into consideration. So one of the hardest parts about this is communication, right? So there are different elements about this that different people care about. How much is this going to cost? And then that's why there's an emphasis on this is the cost, this is the amount of grant money we have, et cetera. One of the key ways that I get engaged from the community with these projects is just people wanting to know what is happening, when is it happening, and all of that. And so instead of it just being the lucky or unlucky few that have to engage with me on a regular basis that ask me those questions, one of the ways that I thought we could keep people appraised is to have essentially lawn signs at these various places with a QR code that people can scan that has the most updated timeline and how much it costs and like all that kind of stuff. So that just brings them to a landing page on these projects.
Okay.
Because I was, for example, at Nelson Sitting Park, and a parent asked me, "Hey, I thought that they were going to update this park. When is that happening?" And then they asked my wife. My wife asked me, and I'm like, and then I texted you, and I was like, "Yo, Karen, when's this being updated?" You're like, "Summer 2024." And so I look like a genius. I'm updating this person, but I shouldn't be just because I know you and or people that watch this meeting. But they should be able to. They're at the park. Isn't this updated? Oh, look, there's a sign. They use their phone. They look up the thing. So that could be a relatively inexpensive, relatively straightforward way of being site specific where people can engage with what's happening here.
Great.
Also, as the final piece for me, I also I recognize that Jamie and the team, you all do a really thoughtful job about when and how to engage the community with these various things. I'm very conscious about also doing so for the Spanish speaking community. So the two things that come to mind for me, one, as an immediate next step, is creating a version of this that is in Spanish. I'm here to help to be able to record something like that. I'm happy to do so. And I think it would be helpful to think about what are some of the largest Spanish speaking groups that we engage with on a regular basis, faith-based groups and nonprofits and community groups, where we can have just a representative or a liaison that it's like, hey, we just gave the Q1 update. Here it is in Spanish. It's like a distribution list of like 6 people. And can you please tell all your people, here's a 1-pager about it. Here's the landing pages that are, but because that's a way that they can then disseminate it amongst the many thousands of people that they will very easily tell you that they have access to. It's like, great. So let's use it for this purpose as well. That's all for me.
Great ideas. Thank you.
So I do want to say that the Spanish part they are working on, because that was my comment as well. You're looking for ways to incorporate, and that was the idea of being able to share this in a way that people could do it on social media, and maybe some of the organization. That's why we were trying to set it up as without editing a public meeting, but actually set up and then figure out how we might chunk it out. Because I think your point that different people are interested in different things. What does it do for me? Like some people only care about one thing, others care about the whole picture. It's really hard to figure out. Communications is really tough, even when people are engaged, but some people are engaged only about the street they live on, so like, and it's not a judgment. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that, but it's hard for staff to figure out, communications. So I think we get better at it. And your ideas, I love the ideas of having almost markers, physical markers that when people walk by, because people tend to go a commuter goes the same way every day, right? It's the same time every single day. So markers for the 800 or so, I don't know, Sue, how many cars do we have now? 800 registered parking?
For the train station?
Commuters, yeah.
400.
Oh, okay, 400. It feels like 800. 400 people that use it, that affects 400 families in the community. We have 400 and something volunteer fire departments. We have the Open Door, which is a huge employer, not only in Ossining, but so having markers, I think is great. With the QR code, Jamie has a little business card size that has a QR code that takes you to a website. So it's like, we're trying different things. I love that idea of trying different things inexpensively, but effectively. So thank you for that.
We can use our big bellies too.
Yeah, we could but I would use the problem with not the problem, but the big belly should be for that area. I think that your idea is not the whole
Yes,
world,
also
right? But to
specific
be
where we don't
really
have big
specific
bellies,
to an
yes.
area. And I think that's what Manny was also talking about.
Yep.
Nobody's complaining that James Street was done, but other people are saying, but why not the rest of it? It's like they're interested in theirs. They're not interested in the street that I live on. That doesn't
Yep.
affect them. So I like the idea. That's that might be we're always looking for different ways and new ways to,
Thank you. Mind-boggling as usual. Whenever I see a version of this presentation, some of the images I know we've been using for a long time for a couple of DRI projects, but I don't think they really put the projects in the context of where they're going to be. I'm not sure. And for example, I'm just making more work for you, so whatever. But
We do have the map online. I know it's like we have a lot of disparate things and it's hard to do all those things in one place.
yeah.
But we can also, what I'm thinking after this is maybe even because we had some background noise and I kind of fumbled a few areas, like we'll actually redo this presentation with a voiceover. We can do it in Spanish, and then we can also have within that a slide with a link to the map so people could see it more clearly and try to combine that a little bit more, because it does get kind of tricky to get it all into one place.
Well, the image of the multimodal transportation hub, well, I know it was done, to give some idea of, you look at that and I don't think it's going to look like that necessarily at all. And you can't really quite see, like, what is the road there? Is that the aqueduct? Is that what, you know what I mean? Like, and also for, the Water Street, streetscaping, similar, like you're kind of looking, where is that? I'm not quite sure, but I don't know. This is just things that every time I see them, I think it, not the right kind of information there that I'm seeing. There might be a couple of other examples, but I also know that we don't know what it's going to look like.
Right.
But just a way to make the images clear as to where this is. You know what I mean? So that's all. But otherwise, awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody over here? Folks, questions, comments on this side? Guys have anything to add, or that we may have forgotten? Oh,
No, I just want to kind of piggyback on what Omar and Aaron just brought up about the map. But Omar, I think it was a great idea. I think we talked about that a while back. QR codes, and if you can link that, if you guys are thinking of doing a project, some sort of signage and sites, link that to that map.
Yep.
Well, I think
That's what I'm thinking.
less work for you guys. It's already there.
Yeah.
We already have that stuff. So
great.
Great.
Yep. Do you have anything? Oh, we're just continuing. I thought you had a question or a comment.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
QR codes, we use them a lot in the clerk's office. I just
Yep.
want to point that out.
Notice
So,
that. Yep.
all right, Corporation Counsel, Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Sue. Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
A little potpourri tonight. On Friday, the Supreme Court of the United States decided a case called Sheets, which we're in the process of reviewing. It's important because it deals with impact fees, which are, in fact, many of the fees that we charge, such as recreation fees and other things that are done through the planning process. And in many cases, the Supreme Court issued a ruling that many of those fees are, in fact, considered illegal takings. So we have to start to look at those fees that we charge and whether or not they are, in fact, constitutional fees. So it's something I've been discussing with Land Use Council and something we'll be getting back to the board on. 2 weeks ago, when I was addressing the board, I was talking about overnight parking. And I actually left something out that I just want to follow up on. And I had received it from the chief, received a complaint about someone whose car was towed. And it turns out that when the call came into OPD to have a car towed, the individual said, well, they were parked in my spot. But here's the rub. What apparently was happening is that the landlord was renting space on the street to people to park. So just to be clear, that is illegal. You cannot. So if a landlord says to you, you can pay me $150, you can park on Linden Avenue, the answer is no. There is no fee to park on the street. What happened here is the person understood that that was their spot. When someone else was parked there, they called and had the car towed. The fact of the matter is there were a couple of errors in that whole issue, but the real thing that people need to understand is that except for overnight parking on most of these streets, we're not charging you to park. And a landlord can absolutely not charge you to park. They don't own the space. It's village-owned property. So if a landlord is doing that, if you know of a landlord is doing that, or if you are a tenant and a landlord is telling you that's where you can park, if you pay me X dollars, wrong. We have a landlord-tenant council. You can seek legal advice. You are not to pay for that, because if you do, you're paying it out of your own pocket for something that the landlord simply cannot charge you for. He is not permitted to do that. So with that, and I don't have anything else except for those people who celebrate the holiday, Chag Sameach and Zisen Pesach.
Multilingual.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. Police Chief Aaron Zimmerman.
Well, for everyone just tuning in earlier, we made some promotions. We promoted a lieutenant this evening, 2 sergeants, a detective, and reassigned a sergeant to a different division. So lots of new things, new growth in the OPD, which allows us to then replace those promotions with new police officers. And we're going to start that process very soon of canvassing for new hire police officers, as well as replacing positions. We're also replacing some of our fleet that is a little long in the tooth. So we've got 6 new cars on the way. And that's great because we can finally get them. I know that appropriating some of these vehicles has been kind of tough just due to the supply chain issues. On top of that, we've got the new radio equipment rolling in, and some of that has been disseminated throughout the patrol force. And other than some upcoming community events, everything is status quo. All I got.
Very exciting night,
Thank you.
Police Department. All right, moving on. Organizational announcement. Is there anyone in our virtual world that would like to talk about an event related only that shall be no longer than 2 minutes in length? One?
Chris?
Oh, I'm sorry. Raise your virtual hand. I thought you said somebody raised their virtual. Please raise your virtual hand.
Anybody, Jamie?
No.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Public comment on agenda items. Visitors shall be accorded a 4-minute opportunity to address the board on any of the resolutions on the agenda. Is there anyone out there who would like to raise their virtual hand?
No.
Thank you. Moving on. Visitor recognition. Visitors shall be accorded a 3-minute opportunity to address the board on issues not related to the agenda, but relevance to the common good of the village. Is there anyone that would like to raise their virtual hand on that?
No.
Thank you. All right. Going to move on down our agenda now to all the way to approval of minutes. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining approves the minutes of the April 3rd, 2024 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby, for the voucher detail report, hereby approves the voucher detail report dated April 17th, 2024 in the amount of $796,585.94. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Agreement with Cablevision Lightpath LLC. Resolved that the following the review of Corporation Counsel, the village manager is authorized to sign a service order for Cablevision Lightpath LLC, 1111 Stewart Avenue, Bethpage, New York, 11714, for the installation and servicing of a new fiber network into Ossining Police Headquarters to integrate the Ossining Police Department with the Metropolitan Transit Authority Police Department and the Metropolitan Region Radio System, and be it further resolved that the term of the service will be 36 months. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second? Any
All in-
comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Call for public hearing, proposed law 2024 entitled Local Law Repealing Chapter 162, Article 8, Housing, Property Maintenance and Building Code Administration, Vacant Building Registry in the Village of Ossining Code, and adding the new chapter 249, Vacant Building and Storefront Registry. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Any comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the slashes was not. Oh, I thought that meant I did.
What's the matter?
Never mind. We have this little code thing that we go on. Resolved, let me finish the resolution.
Oh, okay.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby calls for a public hearing, oh, yeah, right, to take place at 7:30 PM on May 1st, 2024 at the Birdsall Fagan Police Facility, 8688 Spring Street, Austin, New York, to consider a proposed local law 2024 entitled Local Law Repealing Chapter 162, Article 8, Housing, Property Maintenance, and Building Code Administration Vacant Building Registry of the Village of Austin Code, and adding a new chapter 249, Vacant Building and Storefront Registry. And be it further resolved that the proposed local law repeals Chapter 162, Article 8, and adds a new Chapter 249 relating to the registry of vacant buildings and storefronts. And be it further resolved that members of the public are invited to attend the public hearing in person at the above referenced location. And be it further resolved that these members of the public requiring a reasonable accommodation to participate in the public hearing due to the person's disability shall notify Corporation Counsel no later than 7 days before the public hearing at kahan@villageofaustin.org to afford the village significant time to provide reasonable accommodation. Be it further resolved that for those members of the public who want to attend or participate in the public hearing remotely, access will be available through Zoom platform. And be it further resolved, any comments of the proposed law will be accepted by the Board of Trustees at bot@villageofaustin.org. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you again.
Second?
Any
Oh.
comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Changes to the 2024 fee schedule other than water and sewer fees. Resolved that the Village of Austin 2024 fee schedule is resolved to include the following fees effective April 18th, 2024. Parking. On-street parking spaces handicapped. The parking fee, if you're not handicapped, will be $250 plus a $30 surcharge.
Excuse me, Sue, it's not whether you are or not handicapped, it's whether you have the tag, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Right.
yes, I apologize. Yes, I do this all day at the office.
Yeah.
And that's 20-23.15, and then 20-23.16 is off-street parking space handicapped. It will be a $250 fine plus a $30 surcharge. Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Settlement Authority, Corporation Counsel. Resolved that the Corporation Counsel of Village of Austin is authorized to and empowered to settle claims against the village for up to $10,000. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All
Any
in favor?
comments?
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Okay, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution authorizing the settlement. State Farm Fire and Casualty Company, also known as representing, Edna Everett. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin authorizes settlement of the subrogation claim, of the State Farm Fire and Casualty Company to Edna Everett, and be it further resolved that the treasurer of the Village of Austin is hereby authorized and directed to pay State Farm Fire and Casualty $8,950.10 upon delivery of the village of a signed release. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolved declaring certain village-owned vehicles as surplus. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby declare the following vehicle as surplus equipment and authorizes their disposal in accordance to New York State law by sale. A 2010 Mack truck. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance budget modification. Year ending 2003 budget modifications between appropriation accounts. Resolved that the 2023 general fund budget is modified to transfer monies between various appropriation accounts to the appropriate excess revenues received and unanticipated expenditures during the year as summarized by the village treasurer. And be it further resolved that the village department heads are authorized to balance their department budgets within object item categories, subject to approval of the village treasurer or the village manager as follows. And there's three different categories. There's a whole category of items that will be posted on the clerk's bulletin board and is available on the webpage. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
All in
Any
favor?
comments?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved budget modifications for year end 2023 budget modifications in the water fund. Resolved that the 2023 water fund budgets are modified to transfer excess available appropriations as follows. And again, the whole list is available on the clerk's bulletin board or the village webpage. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance, budget modification for year-end 2023 budget modification for the sewer fund. Resolved that the 2023 sewer fund budgets are modified to transfer excess available appropriation as follows. And again, the list is on the bulletin board or on the webpage. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Finance, 2023 adjust generator project to enclose 2020 Hollow Hose 16 Croton Avenue portable generator capital project 2229. Whereas the village manager established a capital project in accordance with project resolutions approved on January 22nd, 2020 for the portable generator for Hollow Hose and 16 Croton Avenue for $140,000, and the project budget required an adjustment of $34,500 to $174,500 funded by a transfer from 2022 cataract generator project approved for $150,000 on February 2nd, 2022, adjusted to $115,500, and the 2020 Hollow Hose 16 Croton Avenue generator project is closed. And be it further resolved that now therefore be it resolved that the capital project and capital project budgets are reestablished as follows. And again, the different increases and decreases are available on the village webpage or the clerk's office. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Any comments?
Yeah, just a question. The original number, is that including the purchase of the portable generator too?
Is Dale on? I
Yes.
see you. Yep.
I just wanted to give you something to talk about there.
Yes, it does include the cost of that. And the cataract fire generator project is slated to not cost as much as originally planned. So it made sense to just move the funds over from one to the other.
Right, and the cataract's a standalone, right? Has nothing to do with the portable.
Right, exactly.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Fire department
So I
appointment.
think you need to take the vote.
Oh, I apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
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 You want me to do these two?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fire Department appointment, monitor hose company number 4. Resolved that upon recommendation of the fire chief, Andrew Shalaba, Ossining, New York, was elected as active member of monitor hose company number 4 for interior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Fire Department appointment, Cataract Hose Company number 2. Resolved that upon recommendation of the fire chief, John Cardenas, Ossining, New York, was elected as active member of Cataract Hose Company number 2 for interior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For any continuing business of the board?
Nope.
New business of the board, extension of the planned waterfront special permit for 30 Water Street. Whereas by resolution dated November 2nd, 2022, the Board of Trustees approved the application from WPB Development LLC for a planned special waterfront permit for the property located at 30 Water Street. And whereas by correspondence dated April 8th, 2024, counsel for WPB Development LLC wrote to the Board of Trustees requesting a 6-month extension for the planned waterfront special permit. Is that it? Resolved that the application by WPB Development LLC for the extension of the planned waterfront special permit is granted, and therefore be it resolved that extension of the planned waterfront special permit has a 6 months commencing May 2nd, 2024, expiring November 2nd, 2024, and be it further resolved that the request for further extensions for the planned special waterfront permit shall be made on separate application to the Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Are there any questions
Yes.
on this one?
I have a question. Stuart,
Yes,
I
sir.
know with the zoning board, we moved a lot of extensions out to be a year. Is there a reason why this is 6 months?
They requested 6 months.
Oh, they did.
They-
Okay.
we actually have counsel and we have Chris Hahn from WPB, but their letter specifically asked for 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You're in the middle of, we don't need, no,
Okay,
you answered the question. I don't think.
okay.
I mean,
Okay.
we appreciate you all being here, but if the board is.
The only
fine-
thing, good evening, Mayor Taylor Palmer with Cuddy and Fader. I am joined by Chris Hahn. All we'll say is that we have applied for a building permit. We need to be issued it to satisfy your conditions. So we're right there. But
Okay.
thank you for
Is
for
there,
giving us the time.
a time frame by when you might get that permit, or within the next 6 months, I assume?
Right.
Yes, we imagine so. Yes.
All right.
Sure.
But that's why this is happening. Okay.
Okay,
Alrighty.
all in favor?
Aye.
I hope you
Thank you.
enjoyed this fabulous meeting we had this evening.
It was. Well, we were one of your big projects on the earlier presentation. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate
Yeah,
that. Thank you very much.
Do I have an adjournment for this, from this
We
meeting?
don't have exec.
No. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now on Wednesday, April 17th, 9:39, and we are adjourned.
Okay.